have been liberated from the neo-Nazi regime. I'm going
The aim of the West is to weaken and destroy. They are openly saying that in '91 they managed to split the Soviet Union, and now is the time for Russia itself, that Russia will have to fall into many regions and areas which are fighting each other to the death. They had those plans for a long time. They supported the bands of international terrorists in the Caucasus. They are encouraging NATO to come to our borders close, and the total Russophobia and many years of total hatred of Russia, first and foremost in Ukraine, and they made the Ukrainian people cannon fodder and pushed them into the war with our country, having started it already in 2014, using the army against the civilian population and organizing the genocide and blockade and terror against the people who refused to acknowledge the Ukrainian power as a result of the military coup. As usual, they refused to have a peaceful solution of resolving Donbas problems and started claiming the right to use of nuclear weapons. It became clear as before, the second time the large offensive of the Donbas is even inevitable, and the decision of the preemptive military operation was the only decision possible and absolutely necessary. And the main aim of freeing the whole of the territory of Donbas remains without change. The Donbas People's Republic is almost fully cleared of the Nazis. The fight in the Donetsk People's Republic continue, and the occupation regime has made a deep line of defense, and therefore the part of our army and the Donbas military units are using the technology, using the people, and are in Donetsk People's Republic step by step, freeing the towns and villages, and helping people who were turned into hostages by the Kiev regime. As you know, the professional army serving under contract are taking part in the special military operation. However, the volunteer units are fighting alongside them. They have different nationalities, professions, and ages. They are true patriots. They are protecting Russia and Donbas upon the call of their hearts. In this regard, the Ministry of Defense was instructed by me to determine as soon as possible the legal status of those areas and also the units of Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics. They have to be the same as the professional military of the Russian army, including the social guarantees, medical and financial supplies. We need to pay special attention to procurement units of the Donbas by technology and munitions. And our army, based on the decisions of the Ministry of Defense and the General Command, have freed from the neo-Nazis the considerable territories of Kherson and Zaporozhye regions. As a result, there is a long line of military contact, over 1,000 kilometers. And I want to say that publicly for the first time, after the start of the special military operation, also at the Istanbul negotiations, there was a very positive reaction to our proposals concerning ensuring the security of Russia. But it was obvious that the West was not happy with the peaceful decision. So after reaching certain compromises, they effectively were given a direct order to undermine the negotiations. And the Kiev regime started using new bands of foreign mercenaries and nationalists, and the army trained by NATO standards and actually commanded by the Western commanders. The repression regime intensified across the whole of Ukraine against its own citizens after the military coup in 2014. The politics of terror and intimidation against Russia becomes more and more barbaric and terrible. I want to stress that most people living in the territories freed from the neo-Nazis, and first of all, they are the Novorossiya historic lands. We're talking Kherson, Lugansk, Donetsk, Zaporozhye regions. You have seen the barbarity of the neo-Nazis in the regions captured by them. The Banderas followers and the Nazi mercenaries are torturing the peaceful citizens in Donetsk, Lugansk, People's Republics, Zaporozhye and Kherson areas. Over 7.5 million people lived before the start of the military operation. Many of them were forced to become refugees. Those who are left are constantly bombarded by artillery and rocket attacks on the part of the neo-Nazis, who attack hospitals and schools and create acts of terror against the peaceful citizens. We have no moral right to give people that are dear to us to be butchered, and we need to give them a chance to determine their own fate. The parliaments of the DNR and the LNR and the administrations Kherson and Zaporozhye regions have decided to hold referendums on joining Russia, and they asked Russia to support such a step. I shall stress we will do all we can to ensure safe conditions for holding the referendums, for people to be able to express their will and decision in their future that will be made by the citizens of the DNR, the LNR, and Zaporozhye and Kherson regions will be supported by us. Dear friends, today our army, as I said, is acting at the military front line, exceeding 1,000 kilometers, and they are facing not just the neo-Nazis, but the whole military machine of the collective West. In this situation, I deem it's necessary to make the following decision, which is appropriate in full to the threat we're facing. For defense of our motherland, its sovereignty and territorial integrity, to ensure the security of our people, and in the freed territories, I deem it necessary to support the proposal of the Ministry of Defense and the General Command for partial mobilization in the Russian Federation. I stress it is partial mobilization. Only those who are currently in reserve will be conscripted, and also those who served in the army have certain military professions and will be always given additional military training, taking into account the special military operation. The decree of partial mobilization has been signed. Officially, the chambers of the Federal Assembly and the State Duma will be informed. The mobilization event shall start today on the 21st of September. I tasked the heads of regions to provide all the necessary assistance to the military commissariats. I shall stress that Russian citizens called up as a part of mobilization will be given all the guarantees, all the benefits of their servant contract. The decree of partial mobilization encompasses additional measures to defend the state procurement for defense, concerning the military technology and additional capacities for its production, or the financial matters for supplying the defense factories shall be resolved by the government without delay. In its aggressive anti-Russian policy, the West has crossed all lines. We constantly hear threats against our people, and some irresponsible politicians in the West are speaking not just of the plans of providing Ukraine with long-range military systems that would be able to hit the regions of Russia. That is already happening. We're talking about the border areas, including Belgorod region, and the systems using strategic drones, planes, doing reconnaissance across the whole of the Russian south. And there are plans in Washington and Brussels to move the military action onto the Russian territory. They're not just talking about Russia being completely destroyed at the battlefield, talking about political, cultural, and all the types of sovereignty with complete pillage. Now they're talking about nuclear blackmail. The Zaporozhye nuclear power plant was shelled. And also some high-positioned representatives of leading NATO states were saying that there might be possibility and permissibility to use nuclear weapons against Russia. Those that allow such statements shall be reminded that our country also has various weapons of destruction. And with regard to certain components, they're even more modern than the NATO ones. And if there is a threat to the territorial integrity of our country and for protecting our people, we will use all the means available to us. And I'm not bluffing. Russian citizens can be certain that the territorial integrity of our motherland, our freedom and independence shall be secured. I shall stress by all means available to us. And those trying to blackmail us with nuclear weapons should know that the tables can turn on them. In our historic tradition, our people had it in their destiny to stop those who are trying to subjugate our motherland and divide it. And we will do that now. It will happen. I believe in your support.
Okay, so there we go. Putin addressing Russian people and addressing the world. And indeed, a draft is coming. He said it was limited, and initially it will be, but once it's instituted, it's going to expand. He also talked about nuclear. War was not declared, as I was told was going to be announced, but a precursor to war is that they are talking about annexing four of the Russian or four of the Ukrainian provinces. They're going to have a vote, which will be controlled by Russia, and of course everything counted in Russia and under probably gunpoint. So they will say the people of that area want to be Russian, so now this is Russia, and if you attack this, now you're attacking Russia. So it is kind of set a little trap there, potentially. And I want to point out this before we go. We talk about this a lot. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. He said they never wanted war, that NATO NATO's responsible for the war. He said he meaning Putin. He has said that multiple times, and he keeps repeating it in hopes that it will be believed, even though I was broadcasting live. I was actually an episode called Countdown to War when the invasion began. Accuse the other side of that which you are guilty. Some of the acts that we talked about, that Russian, that we had video of, I still have video of. I have video that I didn't share. The brutality and cruelty to not only people but to dogs, and to it's and yet they call the Ukraine Nazis and neo-Nazis, and they refer to the cruelties and the atrocities that Ukraine is doing. So accuse the other side of that which you are guilty. Propaganda works best when those that are being manipulated are confident they are acting on their own free will. A lot of the people in Russia are only getting one thing. They're only hearing one thing. They're only hearing one side. When that happens, you only have one thing to believe. And a lot of people in the United States have made the mistake of only listening to one thing, only looking at one thing, only seeing one thing. And there are always at least two sides to every story. It's vitally important for the state or whoever's trying to do the fascist acts. It's vitally important to repress dissent. Can't have anybody questioning anything. The truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus the greatest enemy of the state. So we were given some good information. War was not declared, however, a step towards war by annexing these regions, which Russia will do, and it's just a technicality thing, but they will use it as part of the big lie to say, now you're attacking Russian territory. We haven't threatened them with nuclear weapons, and yet accuse the other side of that which you are guilty. Major talk of nuclear potential, and even with I'm not bluffing. So not as bad as it could have been, not as bad as I was expecting, to be honest with you, but yet still very concerning, because it puts us that much closer to international conflict. And I want to bring up once again, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Attorney General Latila James is going to make a major announcement. I'm sorry, it's 10:30 a.m. And we'll be covering. I'm going to be. I don't know. I'll be live. I'm at least going to be watching it. I may just come on live instead of doing a report on it. The feeling is this is going to be an indictment of Donald Trump or the Trump organization. And I want to close with this. Just after we have heard and I used to do one of these probably every 3 days, but it got to where, everything got shut down, and I was trying to make enough money to get by, and we had to quit talking about this stuff. But it turns out it doesn't matter money wise. So after we've just heard what the leader of Russia said, here's what a Russian soldier is saying. And again, this is as a lot of them get killed talking on the phone, literally holding their phones and the phones being traced, and a sharpshooter or a mortar comes in, and we've shown that. But here's a conversation that I want to end on so that you have an idea of, here, let me pull this up so it doesn't stop middle. So that you have an idea of what is actually going on compared to what...
Шипки, да, блядь, со всех сторон давят. Уже фиг знает кто где.
А что, далеко прорвались? Нет уже?
Да нихера. Если мы пытаемся назад зацепить, там наши, блядь.
Okay, right there's one line, one lie. Well, how far have you broken through? Because they're being told back in Russia how great everything is, okay? No. Not only have they not broken through,
You
run that back because I talked over it.
А что, далеко прорвались? Нет уже?
Да нихера. Если мы пытаемся назад зацепить, там наши, блядь, расстрел. В жопе мы. Вообще пиздец. Я все уже, у меня, блядь, нервы сдали нахуй. Я домой хочу. Я не могу.
Да
блядь, это вообще пиздец. Дети, блядь, нас никто тут ненавидит, сука. Наши солдаты насилуют таких женщин, блядь. Дебилы.
Наши насилуют тех женщин?
Да.
Вот, сука, гондоны, блядь.
Ну, весь не выдержу уже, блядь. Сейчас буду пытаться, блядь, домой, блядь, все нахуй отпуск отъявить от меня. Ну, блядь,
давай,
хуй отпустят. Да хуй отпустят, сказали, блядь, либо расстрел, нахуй, либо воюй.
Гондоны, блядь. Демократия ебаная. А чё оружие-то не подавляют?
Не могут, ну, понимаешь, у нас везде хохлы. Не доезжают, не могут нарвать. Тут везде они, блядь.
Что, каждый день потерь много, да?
Да дохуя. У нас весь батальон положили, блядь. У нас полковника, блядь, командира батальона положили, блядь.
А украинцев как тоже ебашите много?
А?
Нет? Этих украинцев тоже много положили?
Да куда их, дохуя, блядь.
It's a good place to stop. Thank you for watching. We will be back on probably tomorrow morning around 10:30 a.m. Possibly live. We'll be live definitely at midnight. Midnight tonight now on Wednesday, the 21st. We'll be talking about Defender Vance and Lori Arnold's court appearances. We'll be talking about what happens with the New York Attorney General, and we'll be talking about whatever may come up, because it seems like it's one of those times in life where things just kind of are happening, and we talk about it. And I thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your night. I love you all sincerely. Thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the share, all that stuff if you'd like. I just appreciate you being there.